Hello, everyone. Rob Goslin here, Director of Space. Welcome to our highlight reel, where we share some of our upcoming classes with you. These are just a few of the amazing modules we offer each month in space. If you are interested in more information to enroll or to vote on these courses, please check the individual links below. We look forward to seeing you in space.
Man kenuva fane kiria, metima hrastalo kira, e fiery nesse ringa sumariase, ve mewe yaimie. Man tiruva fane kiria. Oh, well, if you're anything like me, you're going to love reading through more of Tolkien's poetry. That was Oilima Markiria, or The Last Ark, which is a poem that has not been very much studied, except, of course, if you're going to study it with us. I'm going to spend the next few months, quite a lot of months, talking about the brand new anthology that we have just had published. It's coming out any day now, that contains so much of Tolkien's poetry, including poems that I've never seen before, and I'm so looking forward to reading them and reading them with you. Come and join me, and let's talk about Tolkien's poetry. In this course, we will have special guest appearances. We will have James Tauber, the one and only James Tauber, coming to talk to us about all the nuts and bolts and technicalities of the poetic forms that Tolkien uses. And we will also have special lectures from none other than Corey Olsen. So what are you waiting for? Come and join me. It's going to be great.
Hello, I'm Liam Daley. I'm a faculty member here at Signum University, and I'm very excited to be offering Inventing King Arthur, Geoffrey of Monmouth's The History of the Kings of Britain next month. In this course, we'll be looking at what is essentially the foundational text of the Arthurian legend, Geoffrey of Monmouth's The History of the Kings of Britain, the source from which all other Arthurian legends ultimately derive. Those of you who are familiar with the Arthur legend may recognize certain elements of this. Arthur's magically arranged conception, his war with the Saxons, his ultimate defeat by the usurper Mordred. Other elements you may not be as familiar with. He fights some giants. He commissions the building of Stonehenge. There's a protracted, backstabbing kind of Game of Thrones-esque power scramble following a succession crisis. We will also be looking a little bit at certain moments in the centuries-long and often acrimonious debate between historians as to whether or not this is an authentic historical chronicle or whether Geoffrey simply made it all up. How much of it did he make up? You'll have to tune in to find out. I'm so excited to be teaching this class, Inventing King Arthur, Geoffrey of Monmouth's History of the Kings of Britain. I hope you can join.
I'm standing in front of Green Gables, perhaps the most famous house in the world that isn't actually real. I mean, it's real. There's a house behind me. It was the farmhouse of Ella Montgomery's cousins when she was growing up here in Cavendish, Prince Edward Island. What's really interesting about Montgomery and Anne of Green Gables and this village of Cavendish is how it has become iconic globally. Hundreds of thousands of people come here every year in order to visit places like this and to celebrate the works and the life of Lucy Maud Montgomery. I grew up near this place. I mean, I used to go to 4-H club in Ella Montgomery's church. I used to play in the graveyard where she's buried. We used to go to this place called Rainbow Valley, which was like a childhood paradise of fun. Nothing to do at all with the book Montgomery wrote, the Anne book called Rainbow Valley. But that's the nature of this place called Cavendish. Every second, hotel or home is actually named after something from Montgomery's books or the names of the novels. It's just all over the place. And it's exploded. It's become the second biggest industry in our whole province. I mean, just last week, I joined 30,000 other people to watch Lord Huron and Maggie Rogers perform just behind me. It's pretty weird, because the place that Montgomery invites us to isn't really Cavendish, it's Avonlea, the fictional village inside of the Green Gables books. She managed to create the space for a national park in Canada named after a fictional house. It's true, this inspired the Anne of Green Gables house, but in itself, it's not anything really that connected. She has created this magic kind of fairyland of experience, though, for people, not just the readers, millions of readers throughout the world, or the people that have loved the adaptations on film or TV, but people that come here to be part of that experience. So what is it about the magic of Anne or the magic of Montgomery that can invite us to imagine our world as something different, to create a different world out of it? I think that's the key question. And so what we're going to do is an experiment in reading. We're going to tackle Anne of Green Gables, which is perfect for a short course. We're going to go through the novel, but looking at it from a particular lens. We're going to be looking at it from the lens of fantasy instead of normal girls fiction or growing up fiction or realistic Canadian fiction. By asking the questions that we ask of fantasy books, or even how science fiction worlds are built, we'll discover a whole new element of imagination in the Anne's books. Anne of Green Gables is delightful and makes great close reading, and we're going to enjoy going through that book and popping out these things. I mean, I'm going to be arguing that Anne herself is the embodiment of magic. She is actually the invitation into fairyland. She's the port key of imagination. She's our platform 9 3/4 to bring us into another world of the spirit. So I hope you can enjoy joining me in this space course and rediscover Anne of Green Gables, or discover it for the first time.
Hello everyone, this is Irina. I'm a historian and instructor for the Viking Age and Old Norse culture and religion. What if I told you that the religious worldview and experience in the Viking Age would have been much more than simply the stories about gods and heroes? Nowadays we tend to use terms like wizards or witchcraft in a very loose way, but in the Norse pre-Christian religion, sorcery would have been intermingled with beliefs, cults, and rituals. We should think of magic as a mindset involving practices that would trigger supernatural powers. There are a lot of terms in the vocabulary of sorcery, but the more general one is seidr. This would have meant prophecy, shape-shifting, controlling weather, healing, cursing, inducing illness, injuring, and even killing. Above all else, this involved extending your mind. So in this course, we will explore the shape and nature of Old Norse sorcery, as well as its many problems of source criticism and interpretation. We're going to learn about Odin as a sorcerer, human magic specialists, performing magic, the potential erotic nature of sorcery, supernatural aggression and ages in warfare, ecstasy, and the broader context of northern shamanism. Hope you will join me in this magical ride.
Hi, this is Dr. Joe Desloge. I want to share with you something that really excites me, and that is biblical Hebrew, how we could unpack it. In this module, what I'm going to do is give you all the tools to read the Hebrew and to unfold it. Let me give you an example. Zechariah 1:1 begins, Vadabar la Zechar, which is the word of the Lord comes to Zechariah. Now, the ending of his word, Yah, we got that. But the beginning, Zechar in Hebrew, means not only to remember, but to enter into an experience or an event that you've had in the past where you actually relive it. So in the Hebrew mindset, someone's name and someone's ministry are intertwined. So for Zechariah, his ministry, his main calling in life was to call Israel to engage once again in the God of their forefathers. Now, what did he receive? Well, it says in English, it's the word of the Lord. Well, That's phrase there can be a little difficult to go from Hebrew to English, because in English we think, well, okay, it's a word that God, well, owns. But to give you some help in our understanding of how things work, where in Hebrew, if a noun, word, and a noun, the Lord, are placed together, they form one concept, they form one thought. Now, to get that better in our mind in translations, I will ask another Hebrew, and his name is John. He was one of the apostles of Jesus, and he explained this term this way. He said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, if you want to unpack scriptures like this, you want to read the Hebrew and get all the tools you need to dig these nuggets right straight, then join me, Dr. Joe Desloge, in this module. Blessings.
Beyo Yazund. Old English, or one Old English phrase for hello, be well, be sound. So I'm here to talk about for a moment the wonders of learning Old English. And telling you, a little of my experience was way back when I was in college, these many, many centuries ago. I was taking a linguistics course, and that's where I got introduced to Old English, studying the history of the English language. And I had just begun to find out who this Tolkien guy was, and the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and how much the language that was Old English and the languages, or some of the languages that are in the Lord of the Rings, resonate with one another. And I got just terribly excited. So I undertook the study of Old English, and here we are. And all these years later, I still love it. So let me introduce to you an ongoing series of advanced readings in Old English, and advanced simply because we're not using a beginner's textbook or anything like that, but sitting down with a text or part of a text, each module, to read Old English. And for many of us, including myself, this also means looking up a lot of vocabulary from time to time. But the idea is to familiarize ourselves and read what is available in Old English. And so sometimes we read some things that are really well known and are typical in an Old English class at a university or college. Things like Beowulf or the Wanderer, from the poetic tradition, but we also read things from the prose tradition. And so we've read Apollonius of Tyre, and we'll probably revisit that text at some point. We've read some homilies, and we've read some other prose texts, and there's many more that we haven't. We haven't really delved much into law codes or charters or the medical books or anything like that. But there's a lot to choose from. And so each month, each individual module, alternating between poetry and prose, we take on a new text and see how far we get. There is no rush. There's no need to rush. So we go at the pace of the class wants to go at, and we can stop and pause and ponder things and what this word means, or what this context means, or what is making sense, and all those kinds of things. So it is a really, really good time, and we have some really great people, and I invite you to join us. So Godna Dai, good day.
Hi, I'm Sparrow Alden. On behalf of myself and the other creative writing preceptors in space, welcome to Workshop, the heart of the creative writing sector. You are invited, but never forced, to share a few pieces of your writing during our month together. It might be a character sketch. It might be a scene all the way up to 2,000 words. What we do ask of everyone in Workshop is that you read the work of other people and comment enthusiastically as a reader who is excited to know their story, to encourage your fellow writer, and to use something we call the collaborative feedback method. Always supportive, never criticism. We're readers. We're not professional editors. We're here to love on your story and our own. So please join me. I'm so looking forward to reading your story.